Hello, and welcome to the very first Agency Access Hangout. Thank you for joining us. We're here today with Kristina Hicks and Jennifer Perlmutter, who are creative consultants for Agency Access.
Hi, thanks for joining.
Hey, everyone.
I'm Nick Moy, the marketing coordinator for Agency Access, and I'll be moderating this. So before we get going here, I just wanted to mention that this is the first time we're doing like a big live event like this. So Murphy's Law would probably dictate that there might be some technical glitches. If there are, just bear with us, please. You'll actually be able to access the whole talk after this is over on our YouTube channel. So don't worry about missing anything if you have to go let the dog in from outside or even change your clothes over to the dryer. I also want to mention that if you're watching this on Google+, feel free to use the question and answer app on the side column here to ask some questions of JP and Kristina, and they're going to do their best to answer as many as they can after their piece is over. So, Kristina, JP, today we are talking target markets and list building. That's right?
That's right. JP and I have worked in different markets over the years, and we've come to realize just how important it is to understand your market, its needs, and get in front of the right people who can hire you.
Exactly. As an artist, it's not only your job to create, but your job to share your vision. Especially a commercial artist, you want to be getting in front of the creatives that are concepting daily for their clients. And in order to do this effectively, it does take a lot of research and many different levels of research. But it's all important because you want to put your best foot forward when you're ready to get your work out the door.
Okay. All right, so let's start with the basics. Kristina, let's say I've never considered having a target market before. How would I go about figuring out who's a good match for my style?
Yes. Well, I really find the following questions to be very helpful when you are determining your markets. So there are 4 questions. I'll go through them all. First one, what do I like to shoot and how do I like to shoot it? Is it people? Is it places? Is it food? Is it objects? What's the feel or the style? Is it moody? Is it carefree? Is it graphic? 2, what are my technical skills? Do I like to be in the studio? Do I like to be on location? You know, do I like to light with supplemental light, with artificial light? Do I like it to be natural? 3, who would I like to shoot for? Is it Nike? Is it Crate & Barrel? Is it American Eagle? Is it Marriott? Is it Real Simple? Is it perhaps Travel + Leisure or even Teen Vogue? And then 4, does what I shoot apply to those brands or publications? And if not, what can I do to build my portfolio? Once you've answered these questions, you should have a really good idea of what your strengths are and how to target your market.
Okay. All right, those are some good guidelines. So I ask myself those questions, and I'm pretty sure I have my target market identified. Am I ready to start marketing my work yet, or?
I would say almost. I really feel like it's a good idea to dig a little bit deeper into the current work being produced in that market so that you can be competitive. And that means research, and that means heading to your local bookstore, paging through some magazines. Does your work really speak to what's being featured right now? And if so, make a note of that brand or that publication so that you can market to them when you're ready. And of course, always review your favorite brand's websites and start paying closer attention to the advertising around you. That's so important because once you have your finger on the pulse of that desired market, you will not only feel current, but you will also be able to approach buyers with confidence because you're the perfect fit and you have what they need.
Exactly. I'm going to jump in there and say one thing. Don't get too caught up in looking at all these ads around you and say, well, they're not doing my kind of work. We never know what these creatives are concepting, and we don't know if the next campaign they create will speak more to your style. So just make sure that if something inspires you, you can still reach out to those people and add them to your list and take note of that. Because you might be what actually inspires them to go in a different direction. Maybe it's something that you've created that really spoke to them. So just keep that in mind as you're looking around.
Personal work, I'm just going to shout out personal work.
100%. I am right there with you on that.
All right. So let's say my work falls into like a few different markets. I know that photographers rarely work within just one niche. Say I think my work belongs in the beauty and the lifestyle markets. What would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I would say awesome, and just be sure to do research for each. And it's always helpful to find crossover when you're targeting multiple markets. So I would say companies like Procter & Gamble, companies like Johnson & Johnson are really good examples of lifestyle and beauty crossover because they're all about products and the people who use them. And so I kind of want to go a little bit further, and that is just to kind of walk through an example of identifying your market. So why don't we take a photographer who shoots people and sports imagery, for example, and let's say they use rich, dark color palettes and directional lighting, and the work is intense and it's cinematic and the portraits are polished and the sports imagery is graphic and dynamic. From this info, we can pretty much deduce that creating dramatic portraits for editorial, commercial, corporate direct would be a good fit. And I think, you know, another part of that is really just digging a little bit deeper within these industries and discovering, is it athletes or is it celebrities or real people that you'd like to work with? And perhaps it's sports and wellness brands, or it's fashion and lifestyle and footwear brands, or could even be ebbing into beverage and liquor or snacks. I think, you know, there's a lot of work out there once you really start diving below the surface.
Okay. All right. So
I'm nodding along in agreement over here.
Yeah.
JP agrees. All right. So I've studied the work being produced in the market that I think I belong in. I'm almost positive now that this is the arena that I want to target, and I'm reasonably sure that I can actually be competitive in this arena. What would be the next step?
Yeah, I'll keep going here. I would say, you know, the next step is really to, you know, reach out to these buyers and creatives and let them know that you're out there and that you're a great fit. Be sure to target photo editors, art producers, art buyers, creatives, art directors and creative directors, those kinds of titles. You know, once you are ready to do this, you're going to need to create a marketing list for these folks, and there are a lot of ways to find these names. I think, you know, awards websites are great. You have Webbies, Clio's, you also have PDN, you have magazines like Com Art, you also have every other magazine masthead, and, you know, specialized mailing list companies that have already done the work for you, such as us.
Okay. JP, as a photo rep, maybe you could speak a little bit from your experience there.
Definitely. I always found, I agree with Kristina, I've always found that the art producers, art buyers, and photo editors tend to be the gatekeepers to these places. So you always want to be getting in front of them. However, because you are a fellow artist, you have to kind of think beyond them. And those creative directors and art directors, as busy as they are, there's no harm in sending them something, especially if it's relevant. You know, like I said, and I'm going to drive this home, they are day in and day out creating for their clients. So you have to get in front of them, and we'll talk a little bit later on how to best approach those type of people.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, I really, oh, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something, Nick?
Oh, no, I was going to say, so, you know, we have all this contact information. What would you recommend, Kristina, on how to keep track of it all?
Yeah, I mean, I would say finding a way to store the contact information in an organized fashion is going to be your friend. Use Excel, use Outlook. Trust us, when it comes to building a list, and even if it's your first one, you will be really happy you did that.
Well, it sounds like a decent amount of legwork so far.
Yeah, you know, it can be if you decide to do it all yourself, but really making sure that you have a targeted list is the first step.
Okay.
And don't forget, you can always build a team around you to help this as well.
Fair enough.
You're here. You don't have to do it by yourself.
All right, so I've done the research on the contacts. I've built my lists. They're targeted, and we know that the information is accurate. What do we do with these lists?
Yeah, I'll take that one. In the beginning, I think it's really helpful to start with at least 3 different lists. You have one for existing clients, you have one for dream clients, and these are brands and publications that you would love to work with and ready to work with. And then you also have a 3rd list, which is all the other potential ad agencies, magazines, corporations in your desired market or markets. Comprehensive lists, I really feel, are so great when you're looking to expand your brand because you never know who's going to love your work, and you really don't want to be afraid to share it with a larger audience because with today's technology, your potential client could really be anywhere.
It's true.
Exactly. So I'm going to kind of jump in here and say that now that you have your list prep, this is the exciting part where you actually get to send your promos out. So I just want to say that when you do that, although you could use a program, an emailer program to send those out on your own, you also can use personal notes and things like that if you would like to send them out individually. If you are going to put a personal note, make sure that you know the person because if not, it could just get a tiny bit creepy. But it's always good to show that you've done your homework. Again, we're going to dive more into that when we talk about some research.
Definitely. And I think, really, once you've sent out a few cycles, you can begin to study your analytics. Who's opening? Who's clicking? It's important to know, not only who's checking it, but also how to classify those leads so that you can decide if you want to target them or perhaps even set up a meeting when you're next in town. It's really important. I can't stress that enough, to see who's interested in your work as well as to follow up with them and to continue to customize your lists to include interested favorites. JP likes to call those our warm contacts, and we'll, of course, get more into that later. But, ultimately, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please. I said I bring those people right into my bullseye.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, all clients and brands have needs, and study them and be ready to be there at the right time.
And before you go on, Nick, I just want to add there that if you are going to get meetings, those contacts we talked about that are the gatekeepers, your art producers, your art buyers, your photo editors, those are the people you should be calling for your meetings first instead of going straight to those creatives.
Okay, great. I mean, I love what you said, Kristina, about you have to be there at the right time because, a large part of it is skill, and there is an element of luck and landing on the person's desk at the right time, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, really, really great information so far. Okay, so we're talking email cycles here. They're really great for letting a lot of people in a given market know about your work all at once. But I've also seen a lot of people have success when they follow up with personal emails. JP, maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
I would love to. So if you do decide to do e-promos as a more of a blanket to your market, you're going to want to follow up with personal emails because it's a great way to show your personality. That's one of my 4 Ps, but I'll get to that a little later. You've already done a lot of general research, but now it's time to dig a little bit deeper. So I would start with your analytics and go through that and pick out the people and start Googling them. Look at LinkedIn, look at Facebook, look at maybe they have their own website. And this gives you information about that person to make you feel, and not just sound, but feel and know that you're educated about them. And then you can reach out to them with a personal note. Again, not too creepy, but we like to call it the kudos system. So you're basically sending a note saying, hey, this is who I am. I saw this great work from you in AdEdge or ComArts, and I saw your name attached to it, and God, I would love to collaborate with you sometime. I just wanted to kind of give you that virtual high five. It's a really great way to compliment someone. Who doesn't like a compliment? And hopefully that person will respond to you. And again, they become a warm contact. You put them in your bullseye, and you know that that is someone that you want to continuously reach out to every 2 to 3 months. You want to put them on your email blast list. Clearly, they're already there as they clicked. But you might even want to put them on your direct mail list if you decide to do direct mail. So these are people that you should always be reaching out to consistently. And that's really the key, is consistency in your marketing. The next people you might want to reach out to are people who have opened your email. And then beyond that is other people that really you have found to be your dream prospects, people you'd really love to work with and people you feel like you're ready to work with and are ready to put that foot forward with them.
Okay. All right, so I just want to backtrack just a little bit. So we're talking about gathering contact information for people in the industry. Kristina, I know that you are an art buyer for a pretty major ad agency. Maybe you have some like industry sources that you can recommend to get this contact information?
Yes, absolutely. Just to kind of tag on to what JP was saying, I feel like industry resources, especially in the ad world, ads of the world, we love ad. You can go there, you can search by keyword, by brand, by artist, and it'll pop up all of the people that worked on it. Sometimes even the project managers, but all the creatives, the art producers, or executive producers, if it's a television spot or something like that. Other really great places to look for creative information are Ad Edge. We have Campaign Spotlight. We have LaBook, La Creative. We also have Creativity Online. Always, I can't stress enough how important it is to just seek information and feel free to share what inspires you as you go about this process, because you never know, like JP said, what the creatives are working on. So even if you're not an exact fit for what they're working on, you might be later. And bonding over personal work and passion projects is a great way to cement a relationship.
Okay.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
All right, so we're still talking these email cycles. A question that comes up a lot is, you're emailing these buyers to let them know, hey, I like your work, but you're really emailing them to kind of get them to check out your own work. Do you have any recommendations on how you might be able to do this tactfully, Kristina? Maybe?
Yes, I think there's really two ways to go about it. You can find, I find the best way is to share a kudos or a virtual high five and leave it at that. Just something that's like props, awesome job, and then not push your work at all. You can have a link at the bottom of the message so that they can check out your work after the feel-good email. Most of the time they do. The other side of that is actually just doing an intro message. Hey, we don't know each other, but I just wanted to share some really awesome work, my new work, da-da-da-da-da. And then it gives people the opportunity to kind of dive in and get to know you better. So two really great ways to kind of break through the clutter.
Okay.
I would say it's all about, the research and the levels of research are all about being educated about your clients. So you're not just another photographer or artist reaching out to them saying, hey, I want to work with you. You actually have a reason to reach out to them, whether it's a campaign that really spoke to you or a specific artist or a specific creative that has worked on something that spoke to you. It's just about the education and another way to, like Kristina said, break through that clutter.
Okay. All right, so still on the topic of e-promos, let's address dream clients for a little bit. So, do you guys think that it's okay to market your work to dream clients at the same time as your other targets, or should you hold off a little bit?
I'll take that one for a minute.
Sure, take it.
I think that marketing to your dream clients, and when we say dream clients, we're thinking that, for example, if you're a fashion shooter, it might be the difference of shooting a catalog or a lookbook for Kohl's or Macy's e-commerce versus shooting a campaign for the Gap. So you just want to think about where your work currently is and if you feel ready enough to reach out to them. If you're just getting started, perhaps you don't. And perhaps you start warming up those other peripheral clients, those tier 1 and tier 2 clients outside of your bullseye, and trying to get the body of work that you really need to reach out to your bullseye clients. However, there might be some of you out there who feel like, JP, I am ready to reach out to them. And if that's the case, do it. As long as you feel you're putting your best foot out there and have the work to back it up on your site, then I think there's no reason why you can't start reaching out to them right away. It's all about how prepared you are and how great your book is looking, and use the people around you to decide if that's right for you, whether it's your rep or a consultant or another photographer friend. Utilize those second pair of eyes because they are really valuable.
Okay. Kristina, anything to add maybe about
I think she totally nailed it. It's so important to be realistic about it. And as long as you're being realistic about it, and as long as your work is really speaking to those markets and you have examples to show and you feel good about it and you're confident about your work, go for it.
And I'd like to add one more thing there. I think it's really important for everyone to understand when you're coming to a marketplace and you're looking at all these advertising agencies, design firms, in-house, there are going to be your tier 1 people, those really high-level clients. But there are so many other clients out there, and you just need to find your niche. You really do. There are so many regional clients out there, national clients that need you. There are so many littler agencies. Yeah, there are so many littler agencies that I've had the pleasure of finding through our database because I work with Agency Access, but I found them and look at them, and I'm so impressed by the level of work that they're creating. So don't just go after your BBDOs and DDBs. Really think outside the box and open up those websites and look at those smaller places because there could be a wealth of work there for you.
All right. So we're wrapping up a little bit here, but I wanted to go back to the 4 Ps that you had mentioned, JP. I know that you talk about that a lot, and maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit for our audience, for people who don't know about the 4 Ps.
For sure, for sure. So I always tell everyone that, as a rep, when I was looking for a photographer, I looked for a lot more things than just what the 4th P, which would be photography, or in this case, your video, your illustration, your art. I look for personality. So these buyers, just as I did as a rep, when I'm presenting you to a buyer, I want to see your personality. I want to know you can get on a creative call and kill it. I want to see your production, the 2nd P. I want to know that that you have a great team around you, that you're on time and that you're efficient, so that you're meeting the needs of the clients and the expectations of the clients. And the 3rd is the most important. It's how prolific you are. And I say this because we are inviting people time and time again to come visit your website. So you need to have fresh new material on there. And it doesn't have to just be commercial work. Kristina and I both agree, personal work speaks so loudly in this industry. Your personal work is often what people are going to come to you and say, I saw this project on your website and it was so great. They're not going to say, yeah, I saw that ad you did. That's great when they want to go to a client and say, yeah, we know this guy can do it. But we know this guy can do it because look at this amazing project that he executed or she executed on their own. So be prolific. Those are my 4 Ps. So personality, production, prolificness, and photography. All together, that makes a 100% unified, cohesive package for me.
All right.
I want to add one thing too. If you're not quite at that level where you have all of those things dialed, don't be afraid to ask for help because there are a wealth of people out there, friends, obviously, people like us, reps, things like that can help you get there. And I think that that's really important because, for whatever level you are, it's just nice to know that there are people there to help.
Exactly. I just encourage everyone, once you have these lists made and you're ready to go, be candid, be personal, be creative. They know what you're reaching out to them for, so just go with it and be confident.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. I think our audience definitely has a lot to consider. You ladies gave us a great starting point to kind of launch our marketing plans, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more that goes into it, but we can only cover so much here in our short period of time. I wanted to leave some time to cover some questions. There's some great questions that have been coming in, and please, if you're on Google+, keep submitting those questions on the right-hand column using the Q&A app. So let's get to some questions here from people. Let's see. Here's a great one. This one is from Joe R. He says, it seems like in recent years, art directors don't prefer to do portfolio drop-offs or even a meeting. It seems like social networks and direct mailings are better at getting their attention. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about using social networks for promotion? Who wants that?
I think we can probably both speak to that. I can start. I mean, I can tell you a lot of agencies are hiring people off Instagram right now. So if that's your thing and you want to be prolific in that department, go for it. It gives you a chance to engage different creatives, follow them, find out what they're doing, get to know them. They can get to know you. I've definitely worked with a handful of people and actually hired people off of Instagram, so I can speak to that personally. I also think it's just nice to get to know people that way. You know, our industry is changing, and it's a chance to really kind of get to know people in perhaps a different way. It doesn't replace it. It doesn't replace a meeting, but it's another way to connect. And in this business, it's all about relationships and who you know and looking out for each other. So as long as you're doing that and having fun while you're doing it, keep doing it.
Exactly. I think that we're in an age where as much as there are seasoned buyers out there, we are dealing with a generation of buyers who we've probably all had Facebook since we were in college, and we have to utilize those things. The one thing I do caution against is Tumblr, just because I sat in on a very informational panel that talked about this, and that it's not Google optimized for searching. So if you're going to be using Tumblr as your blog platform, I do think it's important that you put that out there and invite people to follow you. Don't be scared to use your social networks as a tool in your e-blast or in your just general marketing to invite people to follow you, especially with Instagram. I've worked on jobs where we've had Instagram shooters. So social is huge, rich media is huge, so don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing. If you use something like Pinterest, for example, make sure that your website is on there or your name is attached to the imagery that's going out there into the world, so that somebody can not only know who shot it, but also be able to hire you and have a way to contact you. Really important. I know it seems like a little thing, but it's important.
Okay. All right. Great answers. Thank you. Let's move on here. Let's see. We have a question here from Robert G, and this one sounds like a Kristina question. Can you briefly explain the hierarchy at agencies and where exactly these gatekeepers fall?
Yes. You have lots of different departments. You have project management, you have finance, you have creatives, you have account, you have, you know, a handful of strategy, things like that. Really, you want to talk to the creative people in the creative departments. Those are the art directors. Those are the creative directors. And then, you know, the art producers, the old word is art buyers. Some go by both. Some agencies actually have creative buyers too, but it's a little bit more on the in-house side of things. So if you're talking about just larger ad agencies, art producers and art buyers, and then the art directors and the creative directors are where you want to go. So those are the people that you want to look for. Those are the people that you want to begin to kind of get to know. Obviously the creatives, those are going to be your friends, and then the people that are actually going to be in charge of creating purchase orders and bringing it all together, those are your art buyers and art producers.
Okay. Great answer. Okay. Let's see here. Let's keep
They're
on.
really friendly people. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do a JP question here. All right. Here's one from Zach H. If I have a photo rep, what should my rep be doing versus what should I be doing with regards to marketing?
This is a very, very good question. As a rep, I can say that your rep is in charge of promoting their brand and their entire roster of photographers. So that's not to say that they're not giving you individual attention, because I'm sure they are. I know that I made a point to do that with all of my artists. But you should always continue to promote your own brand as well. So if something lands on your desk, say from, I don't know, DS Reps, you know, and it's a really great promo piece that's all the photographers, how wonderful is it if something lands several weeks later that it's just about you? It's kind of a nice reinforcement. So as much as you're part of this roster, and that's wonderful, and it has this viability for you, it's also about making sure that your brand and your individual flavor is out there. So don't be scared to, you know, do your e-promos on your own. There's not going to be much overlap, and if there is, that's okay, because it's coming from your agent, and then it's coming from you. It's just another touch point, and I think it's even that much more important for repped artists to also do their own promotion.
Yeah, and it makes it personal, which is important.
That P word.
One of the people. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. Here's one from Alexis C. What are some good subject lines for sending emails to editors or buyers that you don't know? Any standout subject lines you guys might have gotten in the past?
You know, I'm gonna say it ebbs and flows. With some things, you know, it's really fun. If it's for a campaign, definitely put that campaign in the line. You know, if it's for Dior, or if it's for Converse, or if it's for God, just CVS. Put that in there so they know what they're looking at. But, you know, there's no method to the madness in my mind. It's being creative, but also to the point where someone knows what they're getting. I've heard different things from buyers. Some tell me, be straightforward, tell me it's new work, tell me it's sports, tell me it's still life, where others are, you know, be creative. I see your name, I know it's photography. If, you know, you were shooting something really funny, say like humor photography, or, you know, make a joke out of it or something. So I think it ebbs and flows, and that you should always play around with some ideas before you just go straight with something. Kristina?
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you, and I think the other side of that too is when you're building a brand and you're building your name, have your name be a part of it, and also what you're focusing on, what kind of imagery, because, you know, I'm of the school of thought, I used to get 200 or more emails every day, and to be honest, I couldn't get through them all, but I tried to get through as many as I could. But I'd also look for keywords. So if I was looking for a portrait person, or I was looking for somebody that did sports or still life, or, you know, what have you, it's really helpful to do that. And if it's fun and you can have fun with it, have a little fun with it. You could try to get all of that in there, and I think that that's really important too. But if it's a little bit too quirky and someone doesn't know who you are, they can't quite figure it out, they may or may not click on it. So that's just something to keep in mind. So have fun with it. Just have it be a little bit of speaking to what they're going to be seeing.
Okay. All right. We got time for a few more here. All right. Here's one for the illustrators out there. From Joanne H. What special considerations, if any, should illustrators keep in mind when building their list?
Kristina, I'm going to let you take this one. I know you love your illustration.
I do. You know, it's really the same. It's really the same. You know, it's illustration. It's so personal. It's exciting, often colorful. Sometimes it's black and white. I think, you know, really just be thoughtful about what you like to do. You know, what is it that you like to do? Do you like to draw? Is it products? Is it people? Is it patterns? And how can these patterns be used? All of these things, are they children's illustrations? Is it for, you know, would you like to do children's publications? Would you like to do perhaps something for Gap? Or, you know, it could be even like a wallpaper that's in the background of an ad, to an actual wrap on a can. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, to an actual wall mural. I think the most important thing is just getting your work out there. Get it out there to as many people as possible, because the sky's the limit when it comes to things like that.
Just as another example, to say, because illustrators, I think, often get stuck on this with advertising agencies, but buyers are buying for illustration as well. And you know, I've read some illustrators, and one of the best examples I had is just looking at, there was a campaign with Sofia Vergara for, I believe it was Pepsi, and you see in the background this beautiful illustration that I know was, you know, done by an illustrator who was on a, you know, on a roster and was hired to do that, all because they were promoting to Shia Day, who had that account. So don't be scared to be in there with those advertising agencies. They're not just hiring photographers. They need your work as well.
All right. Moving right along. Let's see. So sorry. All right, here's a good one. Are e-blasts annoying to art directors and art buyers, or are they truly effective, and how often should I use them, and postcard mailings? So maybe you guys can speak a little bit on the different types of promos to send out and frequency.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Kristina, I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, yeah, of course e-blasts can get annoying. Sure, anything can get annoying. Emails and direct mail ebb and flow. However, I do think e-promos are effective. If not just for name recognition, image recognition, it's just another touch point. So, and if someone likes you, I mean, I have definitely heard from art buyers that they actually want to look at them now because they want to see what they have in them, and then decide if they want to stay subscribed and really catalog that person so they continue getting it from someone who's specific to what they might be looking for, or they might unsubscribe if they know, hey, you're a beauty photographer, I do only cars, I'm never going to use you. It might not be that they don't like your work. It just might be that it's not a right fit for them. So more and more, I think buyers are learning that the best way to get through all of these e-promos is not just to continuously delete them, but actually look at them and decide if they want to continue to be kept up with that photographer or not. And often they're making their own separate folders for these e-promos to come into now. That way they have the option to go in when time is right, and it's not cluttering their main email box perhaps, but it's, you know, all going to this e-promo box that they are able to set up through their servers, and they can kind of go through it when they want or when they're looking for something. So I do still think it's an effective touch point. It just ebbs and flows. And Kristina, I'll let you take the timing and everything and how many and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I think every 2 months is good, every 3 months is good. You know, it really depends on what you're creating, what new work you have to show. Definitely 8-week cycles tend to be a solid of just kind of staying on the forefront of people's minds and thoughts. I think that's a really great idea. But if you don't have anything to show and you know, oh gosh, I need a little bit more time to create this really awesome thing or finish my personal project or what have you, then wait. That's okay too. But definitely be consistent no matter what you do, because that's really the most important thing, because you just want to keep staying on the forefront of people's minds and hearts, and especially when you have really awesome work and the world needs to know about you.
Exactly. Like we said in the beginning, so much is about timing, and there are so many people out there doing it, so if you're coming across someone's desk at the right time or a week before they need to do a presentation, you know, you might be someone who's in that bid.
Okay. Well, maybe we can take this a little bit.
One more thing to that, Nick. Sorry. I also need to remember that just because you're not hearing about it doesn't mean that you're not happening. Again, so many times as a rep, I didn't know I was up for jobs I was up for just because I was on a long list and maybe didn't make the short list with my artist. So, you know, it's always good to be getting these things out because you never know what's happening in the background and behind the scenes.
Okay. So I just wanted to maybe take it a little bit further. You know, we're talking about, you know, e-promos, but there are a lot of other types of things you can do to kind of get them to know your name. You know, direct mail, obviously, and I really love the special something promos. So maybe you guys could talk a little bit about non-e-promo related ways to get in front of a buyer.
Yeah, you mean like wow pieces and things like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you have a project that lends itself to being a little bit more exciting, have some fun with it. Do you want to put some music with it? Do you want to put some color with it? Do you want to put some stickers with it? Do you want to actually turn it into, you know, like a phone connected to something? A little bit more than a flash drive, perhaps. You know, just things that really engage your audience. Something that a creative could use or a buyer could use, or something they might want to put on their desk or on their wall, that not only speaks to the type of person you are and the work that you do, but has a little bit of fun and just says, hey, I get it. I know you don't have a lot of time, but I did this really awesome thing and I want to share it with you and I want you to enjoy it too.
Yeah, I will say that I think those pieces, I have a rule of thumb. I only ever send things that I think someone will want to tack on their wall, or something that's so precious I know that no one would want to throw away, something that's not going to hit the round file. So you really want to be thoughtful, I guess is the best word to use, is your promotions. Thoughtful, and, you know, everyone kind of has the same backbone of a marketing plan. Doing your e-promos, doing direct mails, personal outreach, social media. And if everyone has the same backbone, it's how are you going to infuse it with your own personality and style and flavor, and really make it your own and make it something that stands out. So whether it's a trifold or a box or, you know, a calendar, something that lends itself to your vision and makes sense for what you do, but is also something really fun to receive. I mean, getting things in the mail is always fun.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said scratch and sniff. I once got a scratch and sniff. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think those are great. I think those are great, and I also think it's, you know, have fun with your theme. You know, if you do food, you know, maybe it's a chef's spoon or something like that with, you know, your name on it, or some cute packaging and some recipes, something like that. Because I will say that with these really unique pieces, people keep them for a long time. They usually sit in offices. Sometimes they get passed around, but they're always enjoyed.
Yeah, they become talking points. And you can also use them for your own PR and submitting them to places like PDN, who has the self-promo awards in their section during the PDN photo annuals. So keep in mind other places that you can submit these works to that you put so much time and effort and money into, because it could have some legs in the PR world.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen awesome like special promos go viral on the internet just because they were submitted, you know, as PR pieces to like say Petapixel or other photography news websites, and then they just blow up from there. So
I believe PDN still does it, but they have promos we kept. It's a Tumblr page that they keep up.
Okay. All right. So we are running short on time, so we'll have time for just one more question. This one comes from Ryan S. About how long should you expect a campaign to run before you start seeing the results of your efforts? Good question.
This is a tough one. It can go anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. It really is about how long you've been in the industry. If you're just starting out in the industry, it might take a little while. There still is that notion of paying your dues in some respects. So you might start getting some bites here and there, but you really have to prove yourself and prove, you know, especially that second P, that production point of things. Yeah. So it could take a little bit of time. You know, a good 2-year campaign is really a good way to start, you know, because in the first year, you're kind of putting the feelers out there, right? You're planting your seeds. You need to give time for it to grow. Especially keep in mind that it might not be a right fit now, but someone might really love your work, and it might take a year and a half, 2 years for them to have a project that's right for you. So it's just about continuously warming up different contacts and bringing them into your bullseye and reaching out to them. That will really help your success rate, I think, earlier on, the more consistent you are. But it does take time. These things do not happen overnight. There's no magic pill. You know, the work needs to match the marketing. And if it does, then there's no reason that you shouldn't be getting calls or getting response to your promotions.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's important to be consistent about it and to be patient, and then also, like JP said, continuing to, you know, go the extra step and begin to build relationships with the people that you really want to work with. Get to know them so they can get to know you. It's a big part of this too.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we are just about out of time, so just wanted to offer you the opportunity to maybe give some parting words of wisdom, if you had any last things to say to our audience before we wrap this thing up. JP, maybe if you want to go first.
Sure. Again, just be candid. Don't be scared. Ask questions. You know, find like-minded individuals to bounce ideas off of, or, you know, call Chrissy or I. We really, you know, this is what we're passionate about. This is what we thrive on. You know, is really helping to define who you are and help you guys create great packages for yourself. So thank you all for listening. It was really fun, and I'm liking seeing all these questions pop up in the corner. So try to get to them as quick as I can.
Yeah, but well, gosh, how to follow that? Just continue to not be shy. Just get out there, have some fun, let the world know about you, and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, everybody, for watching, everybody who checked this out. Like I said, there'll be a recording of this on our YouTube channel shortly after this is over. And actually, we're going to be releasing a supplemental PDF document that JP and Kristina so wonderfully put together to complement this Hangout and to maybe flesh out some more of the stuff we talked about, because we definitely covered a lot. So thank you to
thank you.
And Kristina Hicks. And until the next Hangout, we are Agency Access. Thank you.
Bye.